Welcome to our deep dive into the world of AI-driven business models. So you've been exploring how AI is transforming business, and you've given us a really diverse set of materials to look at. We've got academic papers, we've got industry reports, and even a YouTube video about a defense tech startup. Some seriously fascinating stuff in here.
It seems like you're looking past the hype to understand how AI is actually changing how businesses operate at their core. We've got sources here talking about AI personalizing education, predicting when wind turbines need maintenance, and even, yeah, you mentioned it, a company that's using AI to design a firefighting tank.
Yeah, that firefighting tank, I mean, that's a wild concept, right? But that's what's so interesting about this deep dive. We're looking at real-world applications of AI, not just theory.
Exactly. So let's break down the key insights and really grasp the potential of these AI-driven business models, what they are, why they matter, and of course, the challenges and opportunities they present.
Sounds good. So to start, maybe we should define what we're actually talking about here. What exactly makes a business model AI-driven?
An AI-driven business model uses AI technologies to enhance or even completely change at least one core part of how a business works. Think of it this way. Traditional data-driven models, they're great at crunching numbers, but AI-driven models go a step further. They learn, they adapt on their own, which means they need less human input.
So it's not just about having lots of data, it's about AI that can understand and act on that data.
Exactly. And the applications are incredibly diverse. For example, we have sources here that show how insurance companies are using AI and data-centric approaches. And we also see technology companies using AI to break into the insurance market. It's really shaking things up across different industries.
It sounds like a major shift in how businesses operate. What would you say are the key things that make these AI-driven models different from traditional ones?
One of the biggest things is the focus on better decision-making and operational efficiency. In fact, one of our sources even has a business model canvas specifically for AI solutions. It highlights how AI can create new value propositions and even automate customer relationships.
So it's like building AI into the very foundation of the business, not just adding it as an afterthought.
That's a great way to put it. And this integration is changing how businesses interact with their customers. For example, one report talks about how AI is changing customer service in e-commerce. Think AI-powered chatbots or personalized recommendations. These are a far cry from the one-size-fits-all processes we used to see.
It's like those recommendations you get on streaming services or online stores, but even more personalized, right?
Exactly. AI gives businesses a much deeper understanding of their customers. And that brings us to the idea of hyper-personalization. We're talking about marketing and interactions that are tailored to each individual customer.
Okay, so AI is pushing businesses to be more agile and customer-focused. But what about the impact on innovation itself? Is it just about making things more efficient, or does it also spark new ideas?
Great question. AI is not just streamlining what we already do, it's opening up completely new possibilities. Take education, for example. One of the papers talks about how AI and learning analytics can create personalized learning experiences for each student.
Wow, personalized education, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It seems like AI is pushing the boundaries in lots of industries.
It is. And it makes you wonder, are businesses ready for this? We need a new generation of leaders who understand AI, who can see how it fits into the big picture, and who can build ecosystems where these businesses can thrive.
That sounds like a big challenge. Are there any companies out there that are doing this well?
Absolutely. Actually, the YouTube video you provided about Anduril Industries is a great case study. They're a defense tech startup founded by Palmer Luckey, the guy who created Oculus VR, and they're really shaking things up.
Wait, the Oculus guy? The VR headsets? What's he doing in defense tech?
It's a pretty fascinating story. You see, Anduril initially wanted to build a firefighting tank powered by AI.
A firefighting tank with AI.
Yeah. But it turned out there wasn't really a market for that, at least not yet. So they hit a bit of a wall.
So what do? Do they switch to a different market?
Exactly. They saw that they could use their expertise in AI and sensors to tackle a different problem. Border security. They developed these sensor towers that can detect and track pretty much anything crossing a border. People, vehicles, anything.
So they found a niche. What else helped them succeed?
Their team was crucial. They managed to put together this incredibly talented team with people from all sorts of backgrounds, including former employees from Palantir and Oculus.
So the right people, the right technology, and a market that needed what they were offering. What's the lesson here for other companies who want to innovate using AI?
I think Anduril shows a few key things. First, find a real problem to solve and focus on a specific area where your AI solution can make a difference. Second, Build a team that's not just skilled, but also really passionate about solving that problem.
Makes sense. I'm guessing being able to adapt is important too, right? The AI world is constantly changing.
You got it. Anduril didn't just stop at sensor towers. They've expanded into things like drones through strategic acquisitions. They're constantly adapting and evolving.
So they're not afraid to take risks and try new things. Anduril's story is a great example of what's possible with these AI-driven business models. It's clear they have a vision, they're agile, and they're not afraid of a challenge. Let's change gears a little bit and talk about opportunities for sustainable growth. What are some of the key advantages that these models offer?
One of the biggest benefits is increased efficiency and cost savings through automation. AI is already being used in areas like customer service, fraud detection, and supply chain management to automate tasks that used to be done manually. This frees up human employees to focus on more strategic work.
So it's not about replacing humans completely, but about making them more effective.
Exactly. AI handles the repetitive, data-intensive stuff, and humans can focus on tasks that require creativity, critical thinking, and things like emotional intelligence. It's all about finding the right balance.
Right, because at the end of the day, it's humans who are deciding how to use AI. But I guess AI can help with those decisions as well.
Absolutely. AI helps us analyze tons of data, allowing businesses to predict future trends, identify risks, and create personalized customer experiences that we couldn't even imagine before.
So AI helps businesses make smarter decisions. But how does that lead to sustainable growth?
Well, usually, better decisions lead to better results. When a business can anticipate what's coming, adapt to changing customer needs, and optimize its operations, that sets it up for long-term success.
It makes sense. But there's also a sense of responsibility here, right? It's not just about making more money. It's about using AI in a way that benefits both the company and society as a whole.
That's a really important point. Businesses need to think carefully about how they use AI, ensuring that it's used fairly and doesn't infringe on anyone's privacy.
So it's not just about what AI can do, but how it's used. AI can be a force for good, but it needs to be used responsibly.
Exactly. And that's something business leaders need to be thinking about from day one. AI needs to be part of a company's strategy and operations from the get-go, not just tacked on later.
Okay, so we've talked about how AI is transforming business models, the opportunities it offers, and the challenges that come with it. Before we move on, I think it's important to take a closer look at some of the specific challenges that businesses face when trying to implement AI. What are some of the biggest obstacles they encounter?
One of the most common ones is the technical complexity of AI. You need specialized expertise to develop and maintain AI systems, and many businesses just don't have that expertise in-house.
So finding the right people is essential. Are there other technical challenges?
Definitely. Integrating AI into existing systems can be really tricky. You need to make sure your data is clean, accurate, and accessible. And you need the infrastructure to handle the computational demands of these systems.
It seems like there's a steep learning curve involved. What about the financial investment? Implementing AI can't be cheap.
That's another major challenge. AI, especially in the early stages, can require a significant financial investment. Companies need to be prepared to invest in the technology, but also in training and support to make it work.
All right, so there are technical and financial hurdles. But what about the human element? How do companies manage the cultural and organizational changes that come with incorporating AI?
That's huge. A lot of employees are worried about how AI will affect their jobs. It's completely understandable. Businesses need to be transparent about their AI plans. They need to involve their employees in the process and provide opportunities for training and upskilling.
Communication and training are key then. What about small and medium-sized businesses? Do they face even more challenges than larger companies?
Absolutely. Smaller companies typically have fewer resources and less access to specialized expertise. But that doesn't mean AI is out of reach for them. There are a number of strategies that can help them overcome these challenges.
Let's talk about those strategies. What can smaller companies do to make implementing AI more manageable?
One important thing is to start small and focus on areas where AI can have the biggest impact. Don't try to do everything at once. Find a specific problem to solve and an AI solution that fits your budget and your needs.
It's about setting priorities and finding the right tools for the job. What else?
Look for opportunities to collaborate. There are a lot of resources out there. Government grants, programs for startups, and even partnerships with larger companies or universities.
Collaboration seems to be crucial. What about using cloud-based AI solutions?
That's a great option, especially for smaller businesses. Cloud-based platforms give you access to powerful AI tools and the necessary computing power without having to make a huge investment upfront. It's a more affordable and scalable way to get started with AI.
So smaller businesses can start small, collaborate, and take advantage of cloud-based solutions. What else can they do to make sure their AI implementation is successful?
It's really important to develop a clear AI strategy that aligns with your overall business objectives. This means identifying your goals, figuring out what your data tells you, and choosing the right AI technologies to support your vision.
So it's not just about jumping on the AI bandwagon, it's about using it strategically and thoughtfully.
Exactly. And don't underestimate how important it is to invest in data management and analytics. Good data is essential for AI. You need the right processes for collecting, cleaning, and managing your data.
That makes sense. I imagine it's also crucial to foster a culture of innovation and continuous learning within the company, right?
Mhm.
The AI landscape is changing so fast, companies need to be adaptable.
Absolutely. It's all about being agile and being willing to experiment. Encourage your employees to learn new skills, explore new technologies, and embrace the changes that come with AI.
So we've covered a lot. Defining AI-driven business models, exploring opportunities and challenges, and even diving into solutions for implementation. Before we move on, I want to touch on something that's been a recurring theme throughout our conversation: ethics. What are some key ethical considerations that businesses need to address when implementing AI?
That's such an important question. I think one of the biggest areas to focus on is transparency. People need to understand how AI systems make decisions, especially when those decisions have a significant impact on their lives. Businesses need to be able to explain their AI in a way that everyone can understand, even people who aren't tech experts.
Right, because if people don't trust AI, they're not going to be willing to use it. What about privacy?
Privacy is absolutely essential. AI systems often deal with huge amounts of personal data. Businesses have to be upfront about how they're using that data, and they have to make sure they're protecting people's privacy.
Data security and responsible data management are crucial.
Absolutely. And accountability is another key factor. If an AI system makes a mistake, who's responsible? Businesses need to establish clear lines of responsibility and be prepared to address any negative outcomes that might arise.
So navigating the ethics of AI is a pretty complex task. What are some practical steps that businesses can take to make sure they're using AI responsibly?
One important step is to create an ethics committee or a task force that's specifically responsible for overseeing how AI is developed and used within the company. This committee should include people from different departments like technology, legal, and ethics.
It sounds like having a diverse group of people involved in those decisions is really important. What else can they do?
Conducting ethical impact assessments is really valuable. Before you roll out any AI system, you need to think carefully about how it might affect different stakeholders, your employees, your customers, society as a whole.
It's like a risk assessment, but for ethics. What about creating ethical guidelines specifically for AI development and use?
That's a must-have. These guidelines lay out the company's values, its principles, and its standards for how AI should be developed and used. They should be clear, concise, and easy for everyone in the company to understand.
So it's about setting clear expectations and guidelines. What about employee training and education?
Training is absolutely crucial. Everyone in the company, regardless of their role, needs to understand the ethical implications of AI and know how to identify and address potential problems. Training should cover things like transparency, privacy, and accountability.
So it's not just about teaching people how to use AI, it's about teaching them how to use it responsibly.
Exactly. Ethical considerations need to be part of every single stage of the AI lifecycle, from the initial design and development all the way to deployment and ongoing monitoring.
Okay, so we've talked about why ethics in AI is important, the challenges involved, and some practical steps that businesses can take. Now I'd like to shift gears a little and hear about some real-world examples where AI is being used to make a positive impact. What are some inspiring stories about how AI is making a difference?
There are so many. In healthcare, for example, AI is being used to develop new diagnostic tools, personalized treatment plans, and even assist with surgery.
That's incredible. Are there similar advances being made in other fields?
Absolutely. In conservation, AI is being used to track endangered species, monitor deforestation, and find ways to use energy more efficiently.
So AI is helping us protect the planet as well. What about addressing social challenges?
AI has a role to play there, too. It's being used to combat human trafficking, provide education to underserved communities, and even to help identify and support refugees.
It's amazing to see how AI can be used for good, but I imagine there are also concerns about the potential downsides. As AI continues to develop, what are some of the risks and challenges we need to be aware of?
One of the biggest concerns is the potential for job displacement. As AI gets more sophisticated, it's likely to automate tasks that are currently done by humans, which could lead to job losses in certain sectors.
So we need to think about how to prepare people for a changing job market. What else?
Another major concern is the potential for AI to be used for harmful purposes. We have to be careful about the development of things like autonomous weapons systems and other technologies that could pose a threat to humanity.
So responsible development and regulation are crucial.
Absolutely. And we need to have these conversations now before these technologies become even more widespread.
All right, so we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive. We talked about AI-driven business models, the opportunities and challenges they present, and the ethical implications of AI. We even touched on some real-world examples of how AI is being used for good.
And we've seen how AI is changing industries, the nature of work, and even the world as a whole.
AI is clearly very powerful and full of potential, but it's also a tool, and like any tool, it needs to be used thoughtfully and responsibly.
The decisions we make today about how we develop and use AI will have a lasting impact on the future.
So what are your biggest takeaways so far? What questions are you thinking about?
I think that's an excellent question for everyone to consider. As we continue to explore AI and its impact on business, it's important to stay curious, ask questions, and be part of the conversation about how we shape the future of AI.
We'll be back with the next part of our deep dive to explore even more, so be sure to tune in.
It's amazing how these sources show the impact AI is having, like on the very theories behind business models. We're not just talking about like small tweaks to what we already do. AI is pushing us to rethink the whole way businesses create value at a fundamental level.
So it's not just about adding AI on top of old structures, it's like it's becoming the foundation itself.
Yeah, exactly. One paper compares AI-driven business models to cloud-based software as a service, SaaS, They're both super flexible and scalable, which means companies can adapt quickly to changing markets. And AI is also driving this shift towards data-centric models, where data is more than just an asset, it's the engine driving decisions and how value is created.
Data is king, right? But how does this play out in the real world? Are there any specific examples of how this is actually changing things for businesses?
One major shift is towards hyper-personalization. AI lets businesses customize everything, products, services, even marketing, to each individual customer. Like on a scale we've never seen before. Remember those AI-powered recommendations we talked about earlier? That's just the beginning.
So it's like every customer gets a completely unique experience tailored just for them. That sounds like every marketer's dream.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. This level of personalization can totally transform customer engagement and loyalty. When a customer feels like a company really gets them, they're way more likely to stick around.
That makes sense.
Yep.
But personalization is only one piece of the puzzle, right?
Hmm.
What are some other ways AI is driving innovation and creating value?
AI is completely changing the game for product development. Think about it. AI can analyze huge amounts of data about what customers want, what trends are emerging, even what the competition is doing. And this helps companies find those gaps in the market and create new, innovative products that people actually want.
It's like getting a glimpse into the future of customer demand.
Yeah, kind of. AI is definitely giving businesses a powerful advantage when it comes to innovation. And it's not just about creating new products. AI can also be used to make existing products better, figure out what needs improvement, and make data-driven decisions about pricing, marketing, and even how products are distributed.
So AI helps create better products, target the right customers, and streamline operations. What about leadership? Do you need different skills to be a leader in this new AI-driven world?
That's something that a few of your sources touch on, and yeah, it's pretty clear that leading in the age of AI requires a different skill set. Leaders need to be data savvy, they need to understand AI's potential, and they need to be able to make smart decisions about how to integrate it effectively.
So it's not just about being tech savvy, it's about understanding how to use AI strategically to achieve your business goals.
Exactly. And being able to adapt is huge. The AI world is constantly changing. Leaders need to be open to learning, experimenting, and adjusting their strategies.
Sounds like a pretty demanding role. Are there any tools or frameworks out there that can help leaders figure all this out?
Some of your sources have some interesting ideas. One talks about building AI capability within an organization. This means building the infrastructure, putting processes in place, and developing the skills to really leverage AI.
So it's not just about buying the latest AI software, it's about creating an environment where AI can actually thrive.
Right. This means fostering a culture of innovation and collaboration, investing in data management and analytics, and developing clear guidelines for ethical AI development and use.
Okay, so leadership in this new world needs strategic thinking, adaptability, and a strong ethical framework. What about the impact on employees? How's this new way of doing business changing the way we work?
One of the most significant changes is the shift toward human AI collaboration. AI isn't about replacing humans altogether. It's about finding ways for humans and machines to work together.
It's more about having AI as a teammate rather than a replacement.
Exactly. AI can take over those repetitive, data-heavy tasks or even dangerous tasks, allowing humans to focus on things that require creativity, critical thinking, and empathy, things machines aren't so good at.
It sounds like AI is actually reshaping the very nature of work itself. What skills do you think are essential for people to succeed in this new AI-driven world?
Being data literate is becoming super important. Employees need to be comfortable working with data, understanding the basics of data, and being able to interpret data-driven insights.
So is everyone going to have to become a data scientist now?
Well, maybe not a full-fledged data scientist, but having a basic understanding of data is going to be important for a lot of different roles. And it's not just about technical skills. Those soft skills, creativity, critical thinking, problem solving, and communication, those are going to be even more valuable as AI takes over more routine tasks.
It seems like AI is actually emphasizing those uniquely human skills, those things that machines can't really replicate.
That's a great point. As AI takes over more routine work, those human skills are going to be in even higher demand.
Okay, so we've talked about the influence of AI on leadership, the workforce, and the nature of work itself. Now let's switch gears again and talk about some potential risks and challenges. We've already talked about ethical concerns, but are there any other potential downsides that businesses need to be aware of?
One thing that people worry about is algorithmic bias. Basically, AI systems learn from the data they're given. So if that data reflects biases that already exist in society, then the AI system is going to inherit those biases too. And that could lead to unfair or discriminatory outcomes, especially in areas like hiring, loan applications, or even the criminal justice system.
It's kind of like that saying, garbage in, garbage out, but with much higher stakes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not always easy to spot these biases in data or algorithms. Companies need to be really proactive about finding and fixing potential bias and being transparent about how their AI systems work.
So being aware of the potential for bias and taking steps to address it is really important.
Mm.
What about the possibility of AI being used for malicious purposes?
That's another valid concern. As AI becomes more powerful, there's a risk that it could be misused. It could be used to create autonomous weapons, spread misinformation, or even manipulate people's behavior.
That sounds like something straight out of a dystopian sci-fi movie.
But I guess these are real possibilities that we need to be thinking about. They are. And that's why it's so important to have open conversations about the ethical implications of AI, to develop safeguards, and to put regulations and guidelines in place.
So there are risks, but there's also incredible potential for good. We talked about how AI can make things more efficient, help us make better decisions, and even drive innovation. But do you think AI can also help us address some of the world's biggest problems?
I absolutely do. In fact, a lot of experts believe that AI has the potential to be a powerful tool for positive change. For example, in healthcare, AI is being used to develop new diagnostic tools, create personalized treatment plans, and even assist with surgery.
So AI is already helping to save lives. What about other sectors?
In environmental protection, AI is being used to track endangered species, monitor deforestation, and figure out how to use energy more efficiently. It's helping us take better care of the planet.
What about tackling social issues?
AI can play a role there, too. It's being used to combat human trafficking, identify and help refugees, and provide better educational opportunities to communities that need them.
It's great to see AI being used to tackle these really important issues, but to do that effectively, I imagined it would require collaboration on a global scale. What are some organizations that are working to promote responsible AI development?
There are several. One example is the Partnership on AI, which brings together tech companies, academic institutions, and civil society organizations to come up with best practices for AI and to figure out how to address those key ethical concerns.
So it's about bringing together people with different viewpoints to make sure AI is developed and used in a way that benefits everyone. What about governments? What role are they playing in shaping the future of AI?
Governments are starting to become more involved in regulating AI. The European Union, for example, has proposed a bunch of regulations to make sure that AI systems are safe, transparent, and respect fundamental rights.
It sounds like it's all about finding the right balance. We want to encourage innovation, but we also need to make sure that AI is developed responsibly.
Exactly. It's going to take ongoing dialogue and collaboration between governments, industry leaders, researchers, and people from all walks of life.
Okay, we've talked about the risks, the potential benefits, and the importance of responsible development. Let's get practical. If a business is thinking about implementing AI, what are some concrete steps they can take to get started?
One of the first things to do is figure out what specific business need or problem AI can help with. Don't just use AI because it's trendy. Think about how it can actually help your business.
So find the right tool for the job. What else should they keep in mind?
Once you've figured out what you need AI for, you need to look at your data. AI needs data to work. Make sure you have enough good quality data to train your AI models.
Data is the fuel for AI, right? What about the technical expertise needed to build these AI systems?
That's a big one. If you don't have that expertise within your company, you're going to need to hire someone who does or find a partner who can help.
Okay, so identify the need, look at your data, and find the right people. What's next?
Start small and experiment. Don't try to do everything at once. Choose a specific project or do a small pilot program to test things out before you go all in.
Like dipping your toes in the water before you jump in. What about those cultural and organizational changes that come with using AI? How do you manage that?
That's a super important part of it. You need to communicate with your employees, get them involved, and provide training and opportunities for them to learn new skills.
So managing the human side of AI is just as important as the technical side. Any other advice for companies starting out on their AI journey?
Don't be afraid to ask for help. There are lots of resources available, like government grants, programs for startups, and partnerships with bigger companies or universities.
Collaboration and sharing knowledge is so important in this space. And what about all those ethical considerations? How can companies make sure they're using AI responsibly right from the start?
Ethics should be part of every stage of your AI journey, from designing and developing the system to actually using and monitoring it. Businesses need to set clear ethical guidelines, do those impact assessments we talked about, and train their employees on how to use AI responsibly.
So responsible AI isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. But how do you actually put those ethical principles into practice?
Building diverse teams to work on your AI projects is a good place to start. When you have people with different backgrounds and perspectives, you're more likely to catch potential biases or ethical problems early on.
Bringing those diverse voices to the table is so important. What else?
Be transparent and make sure things are explainable. You should be able to clearly explain how your AI systems work, what data they use, and how they make decisions.
It's about being open about how AI is being used, not keeping it all hidden behind these complicated algorithms. What about data privacy? How do you protect people's privacy while still using AI effectively?
Protecting data privacy is non-negotiable. Companies need to be transparent about what data they collect, how they use it, and how they keep it safe. There are technologies like differential privacy and federated learning that can help train AI models without directly accessing sensitive information.
So data privacy is a top priority. What about security? How do businesses make sure their AI systems are protected from things like cyber attacks?
AI security is a big deal. Companies need to have strong security measures in place to make sure their AI systems are protected. This means having strong authentication, encrypting sensitive data, and staying up to date with system updates to fix any vulnerabilities.
So you're saying security needs to be built into these systems from the very beginning. What about all the talk about AI replacing jobs? How can businesses help their employees adapt to these changes?
That's definitely a challenge, and companies need to be proactive. They need to invest in training and upskilling programs to help their employees learn the new skills that are in demand. And they should also think about new job roles and career paths that are emerging alongside AI.
It's about embracing the changes that AI brings and seeing those changes as opportunities, not threats.
You got it.
But what about the impact of AI on society as a whole? How can we ensure that AI is used to benefit everyone, not just a select few?
That's a really important question. And to answer it, we need to have ongoing discussions and work together. Governments, businesses, researchers, and everyday people all need to be part of the conversation. We need to think about the ethical, social, and economic implications of AI and work together to create a future where AI is a force for good.
It sounds like a massive undertaking.
It is, but it's also really exciting.
It sounds like there's a lot of optimism there, despite all the complexity. AI has the potential to solve some of the world's biggest problems, and it's going to be amazing to see how it all unfolds.
I agree. The next few years are going to be fascinating as we see AI become even more integrated into our lives. The decisions we make today are going to determine what that future looks like.
Okay, so we've covered a lot in this part of our deep dive. We went deeper into AI-driven business models and talked about the ethical and societal implications of AI.
We looked at the opportunities, the challenges, and even some practical advice for companies.
We talked about strategy, the changing nature of work, and so much more. Before we wrap up this part, I want to ask you one more thing. Given everything we've talked about, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from this discussion?
The one thing I hope people understand is that AI is not something that's happening in some distant future. It's happening right now. It's changing businesses as we speak. And we all need to be involved. Whether you're a CEO or just starting your career, understanding AI is no longer a choice. It's a necessity.
It's like we're all standing at the edge of this vast new frontier, and the decisions we make now are going to shape the world for generations to come.
I couldn't have said it better myself. To our listeners, I'll leave you with this thought. Be curious, be critical, and be bold. The future of AI is in our hands.
Those are some powerful words to think about as we move into the final part of this deep dive. We'll be back soon to continue our exploration. All right, so we've talked about the big ideas behind AI, the theory, the potential, and the ethical questions that come up. Now I want to get down to brass tacks. What about the listener out there who's thinking, okay, this is all very interesting, but how do I actually use AI in my business?
That's a great point. It's easy to get caught up in all the hype, but let's bring it back down to earth. The most important thing to remember is that AI isn't some kind of magic bullet that solves every problem. It's more like a set of tools, and you have to choose the right tool for the job.
So the first step is figuring out what you're trying to solve with AI.
Exactly. Are you trying to automate a process, improve customer service, maybe personalize your marketing? Once you know what you want to achieve, you can start looking at the different AI technologies that can help you get there.
That makes sense. But I think a lot of businesses, especially smaller ones, might be a little intimidated by the technical side of AI.
I get that. And that's where collaboration is so important. You don't have to become an AI expert overnight. There are consultants, agencies, and platforms out there that specialize in making AI accessible to businesses of all sizes.
So don't try to do it all yourself. Find partners who can help you navigate the technical stuff.
Okay.
But even with the right partners, using AI successfully means changing the way you think, right?
Absolutely. One of the sources we looked at talked about the importance of having a culture of data-driven decision-making. Basically, that means making sure everyone in the company is comfortable using data to make decisions.
So it's not enough to just have the algorithms. You need to create a culture where everyone understands and values data.
That's it, and that takes time and effort. You might need to invest in training, change some of your internal processes, and even rethink how you measure success.
It sounds like a process, not a quick fix. But I bet the companies that really embrace this way of thinking are going to have a big advantage.
Oh, for sure. AI is constantly evolving. What's cutting edge today might be outdated tomorrow. The companies that can adapt, learn, and experiment with new AI tools are the ones that will really succeed in the long run.
It's like they say, the only constant is change. And AI is definitely speeding things up. But there's also a lot of hype around AI. How can our listener tell what's real and what's just hype?
That's a good question. It takes some critical thinking. Don't just assume that because something is labeled as AI, it's automatically the best solution. Look past the buzzwords and ask the tough questions. Does this tool actually solve a problem for my business? Do I have the data to make it work? What are the potential consequences? And will it actually benefit my business in the long run, not just for a short time?
So be strategic, be picky, don't just jump on the latest trend. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive. We started with your exploration of AI-driven business models.
We looked at definitions, analyzed real-world examples like Anduril, and we discussed both the amazing opportunities and the serious challenges AI brings.
We talked about strategy, the future of work, and so much more. It's a lot to think about. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
If there's one thing I want people to understand, it's that AI isn't something that's going to happen in the distant future. It's happening now. It's changing the way businesses operate right now. And we all need to be a part of it. Whether you're a CEO or just starting your career, understanding AI isn't optional anymore. It's essential.
It really feels like we're all on the edge of something brand new. And the choices we make now are going to shape the world for a long time to come.
I totally agree.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. Keep those questions coming, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.